What's going on, everybody? It's Stephen Ellis from Daily Faceoff, and I'm here to talk a little bit about who the Toronto Maple Leafs drafted at the 2024 NHL Draft in Vegas. Now, Ben Danford in the first round was definitely one of the bigger surprise picks because it seemed like the Leafs were trying to get a guy who could bring some size, maybe a right-handed shot defenseman. So going out there and getting Ben Danford, who is a right-handed shot defenseman, does seem good on the surface, but he's not really that big. He's only 6 foot. I don't think he's very aggressive as a player. And I do think it was a bit of a reach to take him at number 31. Now, granted, the Toronto Maple Leafs did kind of something similar last year with Easton Cowan, and that paid off in a big way for him. He obviously clearly had a huge season this year, and now we're talking about him maybe playing a big role for this team the next couple of years. With Ben Danford, this is someone who I think there's still some growing here to do, both physically and mentally. I think he does have good hockey IQ, but some of the defensive reads, some of the offensive reads actually could be a bit of an issue for him. I do think that the most intriguing thing here is that he does make himself a bit difficult to play against. He does move very well. He is a 200-foot player, and I do think that his offensive abilities are a bit better than what you might see given he only has one goal this year. The one thing they're really banking on here is his upside. If you look at how well he played in the OHL playoffs with Oshawa, this is a guy that was very difficult to play against, was able to match up against anybody, and I thought had a very good run there. Is that the pick I would have made there? No, EJ Emery was, but of course he was picked by the New York Rangers, so they couldn't do anything about that. But Charlie Ellick would have been a good option as a kind of a similar player who's big, difficult to play against, and actually does have a bit better offensive abilities. Not too much more, but I do think that that is a guy who could have continued to evolve in that way. But when it comes to Danford, they're seeing some raw potential here, and I do get that. And I think that is definitely an interesting pick. So we'll see what happens. As for the other picks, obviously they didn't pick again until the fourth round. So you were trying to hope that they can hit some value there. The issue was there was a lot of players on this team that talking to other people around the league just truly didn't know much about. Victor Johansson's not somebody that I would have thought would have been drafted, but he is a smart player. I know that his size was listed, I think, at around 141 pounds, but I do know he's closer to 160. Still not big, but you do see some upside there as a shutdown defenseman who, if he can just bulk up a bit, that'd be better. Miroslav Holinka is a guy that I think actually might be a bit interesting. Not a ton of points against older competition, but is someone that against his own group did show that he could be a smart player that does have a bit of muscle to his game and not going to go out there and crush players, but he could still get things done. The most interesting pick, though, was at number 157. It was the goalie, Timothy Obovitsev. 6'3", so he's got good size there. Some really good numbers this year, but you do have to take into account then in Russian junior hockey, a 921 save percentage isn't that special. That is what he had. But talking to some people who watched him closely, they think there might be some sleeper potential there, which is very important because, you always want to draft a goalie every year if you can. You just want to make sure one of those guys hit. The Leafs have gone to the Russian goaltending well the last couple of years. We'll see if any of those guys hit. But at this point, in the fifth round, especially when it was your third pick in, I think it was 5 or 6 selections, that's still a pretty valuable pick. So we'll see if that pans out. Even for Toronto, if only one of these guys pan out, that's kind of what you expect when you have traded away your draft picks. You're just trying to hit on value. You're not going to get a ton of great players in the fifth, sixth, and seventh round. But if you get one, if you get a Pontus Holmberg, it's all worth it. So that's my thoughts on this year's draft for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and thanks for watching.